Hello from Kingfisher, Oklahoma today, Judges 19 and 20, and we're going to look at 5 things. Well, we have another story here about destruction and how Israel is so messy. If you don't think sin is messy, you're really not paying attention to what sin is. And this story demonstrates how badly they needed God's help. And of course, that always reminds me that we need God's help just as much, because our lives are messy too. Nobody's out there doing it perfectly. Our attitudes are horrible. Our words are horrible. Our actions are horrible to each other. This story is horrible. So, hopefully that reminds you of why Jesus had to come and makes you grateful that he did come. Number 2, in this story, there's a concubine, and she's very unfaithful to her husband. For months, she's out there playing the harlot, and he goes and sweet talks her to come back, and they go visit her father, and they travel to another city, and then some worthless men surround the house where they're staying, and he throws her out there, and they do what they want to do with her until she dies. Crazy, okay? What she did initially against God's rule, what these men did to her against God's law, and what they wanted to do to the men in the house against God's law. So it kind of goes back to what we said in the last chapter. Everyone is doing what is right in their own eyes, and that makes a mess. Okay, so number 3, this concubine is abused to death, so the man cuts her up, sends her pieces to different tribes as a message that things have gone awry, and this sparks war within Israel. Okay? All the mess, number 4, causes a war. Sin has its consequences. The sin of this woman, the sin of the man for just throwing her out there and not praying that God would help her or trying to protect her or anything like that. These men that surround the house and want to do bad things and end up doing bad things. All this sin causes war. It's a reminder that sin has consequences, very often more than just for us. Very often they affect the people around us, and obviously a few people's sin here sparked this giant war among the tribes of Israel. And so we see number 5, they begin killing their own people in this incident. Once again, a mess. Goodness, it's hard to look at, but here we go. We will check it out anyway. Judges 19. And it came to pass in those days, there was no king in Israel, and there was a certain Levite sojourning from the side of Mount Ephraim, who took him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah. And there was there for 4 whole months. And her husband rose and went after her, speaking friendly to her, and began to bring her again, having a servant with him and a couple of asses. And she brought him to her father's house. And when her father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodge there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said to the son-in-law, Comfort thine heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way. And they sat down and did eat and drink, both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, Be content, I pray thee, tarry all night, and let thy heart be merry. And when the man rose up to depart, the father-in-law urged him, therefore he lodged there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, Comfort thine heart, I pray thee. And they tarried till afternoon. And they did eat, both of them. And when the man rose up to depart, he, his concubine, his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said, Behold, now the day draweth toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge here, that thine heart may be merry. And tomorrow you will get early on your way, that thou mayest go home. But the man would not tarry that night. He rose up and departed, and came over against Jabus, which is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him. And they were by Jabus. And that day was far spent. And the servant said to his master, Come, I pray thee, let us turn in to the city of the Jebusites. and lodge in it. And his master said to him, We will not turn aside thither into the city of a stranger. This is not the children of Israel. We will pass over to Gibeah. And he said to the servant, Come, let us draw near one of those places and lodge all night in Gibeah or in Ramah. And they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down upon them when they were by Gibeah, which belongeth to Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go in and lodge in Gibeah. And when he went in, he sat him on the street of the city, for there was no man that took him into the house to lodging. And behold, there came an old man from his work out in the field at even, which was also of Mount Ephraim. And he sojourned in Gibeah, but the men of the place were Benjamites. And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw that a wayfaring man in the street of the city. The old man said, Whither goest thou? And whence comest thou? And he said to them, We are passing from Bethlehem, Judah, toward the side of Mount Ephraim, and thence am I. And I went to Bethlehem, Judah, and now I am going to the house of the Lord. There is no man to receive me into his house. Yet there is straw and provender for your asses, and there is bread and wine also for me, and for thy maid, and for thy young man, which is thy servants. There is no want of anything. And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Howsoever, let all thy wants be upon me. Don't lodge in the street. And he brought him to his house, and gave provender unto his asses, and they washed their feet, and did eat and drink. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial. Now that could be literally like sons of Satan, or could just mean worthless fellows there. They beset the house round about, and beat down the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. And of course, the master of the house, went out and said, Nay, my brethren, I pray you, do not do so wickedly, seeing this man is come into my house. Do not do this folly. Now, this should remind you of Sodom and Gomorrah, by the way, because this very same thing happened to Lot. And when the angels visited, they had the same encounter. The men in the city surrounded wanted the same thing. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble them, and do what seemeth good to you. But unto this man do not do a vile thing. How is this better? Not sure. This is all craziness. Remember I said messy. They're like, well, don't take this man, but here are these women. Take them. Do what you want. Nope. Not good. What a mess. But the men would hearken to him, so the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them, and they knew her and abused her all night until morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. And then came the woman the dawning of the day, and fell down at the door of the man's house where her Lord was, till it was light. And her Lord rose in the morning, and opened the doors of the house, and went to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Get up, let us be going. What an awful man. That's awful. But none answered. Then the man took her up on his own ass, and the man rose up and gat him to his place. And when he was come to his house, he took a knife, and laid hold of the concubine, and divided her, together with her bones, into 12 pieces, and sent her to all the coasts of Israel. And so it was that all saw that there was no such deed done or seen in Israel since the day they came out of the land of Egypt unto this day. Consider it, take advice, and speak your minds. Chapter 20. When all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation gathered together as one man, and from Dan even to Beersheba, and to the land of Gilead, and to the Lord of Mizpah. And the chief of all the people, even of the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of God, 400,000 footmen that drew sword. Now the children of Benjamin heard the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpah. And they said to the children of Israel, Tell us, how was this wickedness? And the Levite, the husband of the woman that was slain, answered and said, I came to Gibeah, and belongeth to Benjamin, I and my concubine to lodge. The men of Gibeah rose around me, and beset the house about me by night, and thought to have slain me, and my concubine they have forced, and she is dead. And I took my concubine, and cut her into pieces, and sent her throughout the country of inheritance of Israel, for they had committed lewdness and folly in Israel. Behold, ye are the children of Israel. Give here your advice and counsel. And all the people rose as one man, saying, We will not any of us go to his tent, neither will any of us turn to his house. But now shall be one thing, we will go to Gibeah, and we will go up by lot against it. And we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000, to fetch victuals for the people, that they may do, when they come unto Gibeah of Benjamin, according to all the folly they have wrought in Israel. So all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man. So they're going to go fight. And the tribes of Israel sent men through the tribe of Benjamin, saying, What wickedness is this that you've done? Now therefore deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and put evil away from Israel. Which is actually what God asked them to do. This kind of evil needed to be destroyed. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibeah to go to battle against the children of Israel. So now everybody's fighting. And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew sword, beside the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men. Among all the people that were 700 chosen men left-handed, everyone could sling a stone at a hairbreadth and not miss. And the men of Israel besides Benjamin were numbered 400,000 men that drew sword, and all were men of war. The children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God and asked the counsel of God and said, Which of us shall go up first against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go first. And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and camped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out against Benjamin. And of the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of Israelites that day 22,000 men. And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle again in the place where they had put themselves in the first array. So they actually got rebuffed first and lost a lot of men. The children of Israel went and wept before the Lord until evening and asked the council, Shall we go up to battle again against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Go up against him. This is God kind of testing them. This is interesting. And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel 18,000 men. So that's 40,000 total so far, all that drew the sword. Then all the children of Israel went up and came to the house of God and wept and sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. The children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant was there in those days, and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it, saying, Shall I yet again go against the children of Benjamin my brother, or shall I cease? And the Lord said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them in thine hand. So if things don't go your way the first time, and it seems to go really bad, you might keep trying, but first of all, seek the Lord. That's the important message there. And Israel set liers in wait at Gibeah, and the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin, and on the third day, and put themselves in array against Gibeah, as at other times. The children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city, and they began to smite the people and kill, and as at other times, in the highways, when one goeth to the house of God, and the other to Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Israel. The children of Benjamin said, They are smitten down before us as first. But the children of Israel said, Let us flee, and draw them away from the city into the highways. And then all the men of Israel rose up out of their place, and put themselves in array at Baltamar. And the liers in wait of Israel came forth from their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeah. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of Israel. And that battle was sore, but they knew not that evil was near them. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel were destroyed. Of the Benjamites that day 25,100 men all drew the sword. So finally they're victorious. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten, for the men of Israel gave place to the Benjamites, because they trusted unto the liers in wait, which they set in Gibeah. And the liers in wait hasted. That's Liers. So they're like outliers, not like not telling the truth. And the liers in wait drew themselves along and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. Now there was an appointed sign between the men of Israel and the liers in wait, and they should make a great flame, which smoke would rise up out of the city. And when the men of Israel retired in the battle, Benjamin might smite and kill some of the men of Israel, about 30 persons, for they said, Surely they are smitten down before us, as in the first battle. But when the flame began to arise up out of the city, the pillar of smoke, the Benjamins looked behind them, and behold, the flame of the city ascended to heaven. And when the men of Israel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that evil was upon them. They therefore turned their backs before the men of Israel unto the way of the wilderness. But the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities thus destroyed in the midst of them. They enclosed Benjamin round about, and chased them, and trode them down with ease over against Gibeah before the sun rising. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All these were men of valor. And they returned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon, and they gleaned of them in the highway 5,000 men, and purchased hard after them unto Gidom, and slew 2,000 of the men. So that day which all fell in Benjamin were 20 and 5,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon, and abode in the rock of Rimmon 4 months. And the children of Israel turned upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with every edge of the sword, as well as the men of every city, as the beast, and all that came to hand, and they set fire to all the cities that they came to. What a tragic story. What a tragic thing to happen in Israel, brother fighting against brother, and all because sin started it. Very often we see these great plagues and difficulties that come on account of sin. I think Exodus, this happened a lot. Numbers, this happened a lot. Deuteronomy, we see it. It's when people sin, there are grave consequences for themselves and for those around them. And that's why we need Jesus. We need his help. We need to follow his ways, and that will make it better. Well, tomorrow we're going to close out what happens and how they kind of mend things for the tribe. So I'll catch you later.